Greetings. I'd like to spend a few minutes here discussing profiling stalkers, and this particular section is not in your textbook. I've added it in addition to the material. But first, what is stalking? And if we use the definition by Baum, Catalano, Rand, and Rose in their U.S. Justice Department publication. Basically, stalking is making unwanted phone calls, sending unsolicited or unwanted letters or emails, following or spying on the victim, showing up at places without legitimate reason, waiting at places for the victim, leaving unwanted items, presents, or flowers, posting information or spreading rumors about the victim on the internet in a public place or by word of mouth. If we look at the research that they cite, for example, male victims are stalked by males 41% of the time and females 43% of the time, and the rest, it's unknown, that's 16%. Female victims, in contrast, are stalked by males 67% of the time and females 24% of the time, and the unknown is 10%. Stranger stalking seems relatively rare, and usually there is some type of relationship connection, or the victim and perpetrator know each other. The most likely stalker is a former intimate, and that makes up 26% of the cases, or a friend, a roommate, or a neighbor, 16% of the cases. What I'd like to do is briefly go over Mahandi and colleagues' recon model that looks at the relationship and the public versus the private context. So there's basically two types of stalking. First looking at the previous relationship, whether it's intimate or acquaintance, and then looking at whether or not there's no or limited contact with a public figure or a private stranger. And so this typology, looking at previous relationship, looking at no or limited contact, helps us to begin to understand the four types: the intimate, acquaintance, public figure, and private stranger. And that's what I want to go over. The most dangerous and largest group in their study was the intimate stalker, who tends to have a violent criminal record, abuses drugs and alcohol, and is more likely to actually physically assault the victim. In addition, 1/3 have suicidal tendencies, and they often have insecure attachments to others and personality disorders. The acquaintance stalker, in this case, 21% in the study were found to be female, 1/3 assaulted or damaged property, and the acquaintance stalker wants a relationship with the victim. And they're also more likely to have mental disorders such as borderline personality disorder. The public figure stalkers tend to be older and have less violent criminal history. The public figure stalkers are more likely to be psychotic than the other types, and they're often looking for love and help as part of their motivation, and they rarely engage in violence. And part of this may be that the public figures have much more protection, and these threats are more scrutinized and taken seriously and addressed. The private stranger stalkers, in contrast, well, there's a lower percentage of this type to start with, but the profile is more likely to be mentally ill men wanting to communicate with women. But please note, 1/3 are violent to the person or to property. Probably we get a lot of misinformation from media stories, and that may cloud the actual epidemiology, or rather the statistics regarding the rates of stalking. And of course, what we would need to address and include in further research and discussion and investigatory and profiling education would be cyber stalking and technology. That cyber stalking is becoming much more of a social problem and a criminal justice issue, and we certainly need to address this and gain more information, theoretical perspectives, investigatory processes, and prevention procedures. Thank you.